Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Namaste Village session. Hope you had a beautiful weekend. We have a lot to cover, and I'm just curious how it's all going to fall together. So often, as you know, at the breakfast table here at Namaste Village, so much gets stirred, gets revealed. Of course, we don't have to know what this session is going to be about. All we need to do is pay attention at the breakfast table, and it will show us. So one of the things that I heard is it's often Calico who says a couple of things that really spark. And this morning it was Scott. Not a big surprise. He told me about a particular well-known teacher. I won't mention names, who has a rather big platform and gave a talk recently where he said, God told me we might not make it. We might not make it through this terrible time of war and division and destruction. We might not make it. God just wanted you to know. So he told me to tell you. Problematic. When Scott told me that, the first thought that came into my mind is, but he's missing something very important, which is we already made it. This is a done deal. And it doesn't have anything to do with what it looks like. It doesn't have anything to do with the out picturing. Some people might say, well, there could be a terrible war. We could, blah, 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 and then just spin out in the chaos of that idea. And in doing so, and spinning out in the chaos of that idea, we weave a web that we get caught in. We get caught in that web. But what happens when we are uncompromising with only one experience? Once again, as we've said before, this is not about believing something. This is about knowing, having an experience where we know that only love is real. And as we said before, we added, and God is love, therefore so am I. That's all you need to realize and come into a direct experience of it is over. In fact, what you think is over, it didn't even happen. Whoa, hold on. You get crucified with that kind of idea. Truly. You could very easily stand up and say, God told me that we might not make it. And people will say, oh, wow, that kind of sucks. I don't like that. But when you stand up and say, the truth is you made it a long, long time ago, that's crucifixion time, because it takes away the promise of death, the ego's promise that who you think you are, your personality, your body, your identity, is going to die. And it might be tomorrow. God told me to tell you that, by the way. It might be tomorrow. And if it's not tomorrow, it could very well be Wednesday when the shit really hits the fan. This is meant to be an inspirational message. I don't see the inspiration in that. But I feel the inspiration in the experience of only love is real, and then staying uncompromising with that in my mind and realizing that anything else is a projection of my own disbelief, my own hesitancy to accept that which forever accepts me. Did you hear that? My willingness to accept that which forever accepts and receives and loves me. And in that, this is going to play out however it's going to play out. And this is not saying, by the way, that we're not here to work for peace, for example. You all know that I've done a lot of that in my life, traveled to many war zones to perform peace concerts and have world meditations. It's not saying that. We are all called to follow spirit while knowing only love is real. We're all called to do what we're called to do while knowing that only love is real. God is love, and therefore, so am I, and so are you, and so is everything. There's only one thing. I'm being called to be uncompromising, as God is uncompromising. So the idea that God would say to some special person, go tell them they're probably not going to make it this time. You already made it. Only love is real. Just hold to that and stay awake. That's the other thing that came to me this morning. I was reading a Rumi poem that I want to read to you in a moment, but as most of you know, a few days ago, I decided to move off campus to a house about a mile down the road. And I've decided on most mornings to walk here. Put Bodhi on a leash, have a good walk. And as I was walking, inspiration, of course, comes. I was thinking about this Rumi poem that I think bridges very nicely from what we just shared. This is what Rumi had to say. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want, what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going to go back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Stay awake. When you come into a whole, I'll call it a whole opportunity of present awakening, that the awakening is happening. It's really, really happening. Stay put. Don't move from that spot. We have a tendency sometimes to think, well, that was nice. Now let's go off somewhere else. Hold still. When you are called, as each one of us have been called, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether we're physically here at Namaste Village or anywhere else, and it has nothing to do with Namaste Village or me or anything. It has to do with when you find yourself through that call to the one wholly present in that present imperative of awakening. Hold still. Don't wander off. Don't fall back asleep. But of course, most of us, like in the morning, the alarm clock goes off, we wake up. I did it 3 times this morning, maybe twice. Hit the snooze, go back into the dream. It's funny how, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, that last little dream right before you wake up is the most delicious. And I always feel, oh, just 5 more minutes of that. 5 more minutes of that illusion, 5 more minutes of that dream. That's all I need. Hit the snooze one more time. Instead of, it's a new day. I want to be awake. I want to be ready. That's why we proclaim that every day. I am awake. I am ready. And so here we are in this moment. And when you feel that urgency to, I got what I needed there, now let's go off and try and make the world a better place, or try and make me a better person. Hold still. Don't wander away. I see people now and then who have lived at Namaste at different stages, and I'll see them on the street. And once again, this is not about me knowing what their call is, but I do feel I feel a vortex of energy here at Namaste. I know a lot of you feel a vortex of certainty that there is a sufficient number of awakened minds here. So that vortex of knowing that only love is real is strong. Do you know what I mean? Why would you want to be spun out of that? Stay in it. Let it do. It's like the first analogy that comes into my mind is if you're in the spin cycle of a washing machine, what is that spin cycle doing? It's getting all of the moisture, all of the water out of the clothes. And to pull the plug on the spin cycle when it's only been halfway accomplished, you're going to pull out a bunch of wet clothes. You didn't give it time. You didn't hold still, or you didn't allow that cycle, that vortex, to do what it was meant to do. And the same thing is true here. Knowing that there's nothing you need to do but hold still within the certainty of this experience, allow that and don't wander off. You may very well be called to wander off at some point, but not until the spin cycle is over. You know what I mean? Let this do its job on you. This is a beautiful experience because you're not being asked to do anything but hold still. How many communities can say that? You're asked of so many things. All we're asking you to do is to hold still in this vortex of awakened whole experience. Stay awake. So as I was walking this morning, I started singing a song that I wrote a few years ago. It's called Stay Simple. And I realized that these three things, stay simple, stay humble, and stay awake, are the imperative that we're being called to today. So I thought I would look at each verse and see what jewels we can find within. So let me sing, I'll just sing a cappella, the first verse. Stay simple, stay humble, and stay away with me. I've heard you calling, and I have answered with everything that you need, with everything that you need. Be like the birds of the air, the flowers in the field, for only then will your heart be healed, be healed. Just stay simple, stay humble, and stay awake. For me, the most important part of that first verse is be like the birds of the air, be like the flowers in the field. They neither toil nor work, and yet look at them. Even Solomon was not arrayed like one of those flowers. And if God would take care of every little bird, don't you think the same would be true for you? I mean, these are the words of an awakened whole mind. And it's so simple. That's the beauty of it, the simplicity. Just hold still within this vortex of light. Let it do its job. Let it do its work on you. Stay simple, stay humble, and stay away with me. Your heart is open and will remain if you but choose to see, if you but choose to see my face in everyone, in everything, everywhere you go. Then like the flower You will open and you will know. Yes, you will know. Be like the flowers. Stay open. Then you will know how simple this is. The simplicity of salvation. So those three imperatives are all we're really called to do today. We're not called to listen to fearful messages that tell us you're about done. Sorry, you had your chance. You screwed it up again. Isn't that all that is really saying? Sorry, I can't help you this time. I don't think you're going to make it. No, you already made it. Long, long time ago, because love has always had its way with you, in you, as you. There's nothing you need to do because you are uncompromised. We always talk about being uncompromising with the teaching. And the reason is simple, is that it's always been uncompromising with you. And when your uncompromising attitude matches that of God's uncompromising sight of you, guess what happens? You wake up. So stay here. Don't move from this vortex. Let the spin cycle do its job on you. Don't abort and walk out of the door all wet and soggy. All right. Calico, are you out there? I sent her a little note saying that I may call on her, but
I
she's
am.
often. Oh, good. Good morning, Calico. Take it away, girl.
And I go back to, I had to laugh. The original, I'm not sure what it was about. We're not going to make it through. Well, we're not.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm answering purely from A Course in Miracles. And it's really, you know, my body is a projection, just like everything else is, and none of my projections will make it. None of them. And it's, you know, and Jesus is telling us it's just how much fear do you want to have? And I have no fear about it whatsoever. You know, I'm here for as long as I'm here, and then I'm not. But I know that what is eternal is mine, and that I'm totally clear will last forever. I went out to lunch yesterday with a course student, and we were talking about this. And for me, and I'm, you know, I have the luxury of working with some people on Zoom to really go deeper. And part of it is honesty. And I, you know, it sounds silly almost, but you have to get in touch with what you do fear. And everyone fears something, probably a lot of things. And the whole process of mind training with A Course in Miracles is to bring it up and see what you fear, and then ask for help in seeing it differently. And that's where the miracle happened. The miracle's in mind of there is no fear. So for me, this concept of death doesn't even enter my mind. You know, it's kind of like I'm still breathing this morning when my eyes open up, and that's all I have to be present to. And so I really think it's honesty to really see what you're thinking. Without that, it's a critical piece. And without really having that honesty, you can't make any changes, because you're going to deny that you're fearful, because that's how we all learned how to think early on. It's just deny the stuff we don't want to think, and, you know, just keep moving forward. And Jesus is quite clear, you know, really start thinking about this stuff. So I must say, I loved the idea of someone channeling, which I channel my own God at this point, but someone channeling that we're not going to make it. And it's like, well, that's easy. No, we're not going to make it. The bodies aren't going to last. And I don't fear, if it's going to be a bomb or a bullet or, a heart attack, I don't care because I don't have fear about any of them. So it's not the world that really gives me my future. It's trusting in the truth of who I am, which is pure innocence. And, I can get behind that. And so that's, yeah. So thank you so much for the song. That was lovely. And humility was a definite, really tough one for me because I had a huge I know mind. And putting that into, I felt like I was beating it into submission most of the time. But it's like, it took humility to see that I don't know anything. And it's such an easier place to come from when I don't know anything. And I have no expectations of myself or anyone else. I trust what I hear from God. And that's really all that I really put my faith in these days. So thank you, James.
Thank you, Calico. As always. Always good to hear it from different angles. And I love that you immediately shared what looks like an opposing idea, but it's not opposing at all. I call this the circle of awakening, or the circle of atonement, I guess you could call it, where an idea is spinning in one direction, which is you made it a long time ago. There's no way you can't make it. And then, of course, as you said, you're not going to make it. The idea you have of you, the concept and identity that you hold of yourself is not going to make it. But the truth of you made it along. The truth of you was never challenged or compromised. But the you that you've clung to deny and hide from that reality will not make it. And that is something to celebrate. The idea that you have of the limited form, the vulnerable identity, is doomed. Yay. But you, the truth of who you are, made it a long time. It was never challenged. It's whole and complete, perfect and real and whole right now, in this moment, forever. So, of course, as the song said, the way to know that is to keep giving it away, to keep seeing that in others. Don't just claim it for yourself, claim it for the all, for the one. Especially in the most challenging of situations. And that's where we come back to some of these situations that are happening in the world that at least one voice is saying, we're not going to make it. Because what that voice is saying is you're going to destroy yourself. Sorry. You're probably not going to make it out of that destruction. Well, maybe. I don't know. I love you. Okay. Those of you who have been around a while, you know that one. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, how could I, in my limited form, know any of this? But I know that only love is real. And I hold to that uncompromisingly. The rest, let it happen. Means nothing. And yet it means everything. And to that we say, Amen, 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 Amen. Punto. There you have it. Have a beautiful Monday, everyone. Lovely to see all of you. We'll see you again tomorrow. Namaste.
Love you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Have a great day.